Howdy, howdy, y'all. It's Kayla with Opus Design Management, and it is Wednesday. So, welcome to Water Cooler Wednesday. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week so far, and the weather's treating you right. I know we've got some rain and some coldness coming down. It looks like over the weekend here in Texas, so hoping everybody can find some time to get outside and enjoy it if you get some sunshine. But so welcome back. I know last week we talked about, pardon my mess. I know last week we talked about remote work and your team members, expectations around them, kind of how the workplace has changed and what's going on with a lot of that. And I think continuing on with that, obviously that's definitely a perk, and a lot of companies now, spend some time talking about their perks, talking about, we spend a lot of time recruiting, it feels like, in a lot of worlds, and I think that one of the things that kind of gets missed is the retention piece, right? Whether that's retaining customers, that's retaining employees, that's retaining successful SOPs. A lot of these things that kind of play into your brand and kind of that image that you give out there. So, as you're thinking about it, we've talked before kind of about how you message information on social media and what your brand looks like, really what your mission and your values are and how those things look. And I think a lot of that plays into also, your employees' satisfaction with their job. So you want them to feel, they should really want them to feel not only that they are valued, but also that they are bonded, right, to the company, to the mission, to your brand, that they are, you really want them, for lack of a better word, bought in. And that's going to keep that retention piece in there. And retention cuts down a lot of things, right? Retaining clients cuts down on the expense of having to go find new clients and the marketing for it. Retention on your employees cuts down on the amount of money you're spending on new hire training and getting that person up to speed, because really and honestly, when you lose a good employee and you have to retrain another, you just don't get somebody off the street that comes in and is ready to go right away and is able to handle all the tasks that the previous employee was doing. Yes, we can learn skills, but you don't learn all the little nuances in the first 90 days. So you've got to give some thought around what falls into retention. And I think that piece is very, very easily overlooked, right? So everybody does it. Think about it. When's the last time that you saw a commercial for a cell phone carrier, right? There's always these great deals going on for new clients. New clients get a free office visit. If you're going to start and you need a new plan, then we're going to give you a phone, or we'll give you some, rebates on certain things. And yes, there's perks, but if you're having to constantly give those out, same thing with sign-on bonuses, right? If a company's giving a bunch of sign-on bonuses, kind of means they're hurting for things, right? If their sign-on bonuses getting crazy, they're trying to attract people and they're trying to attract new people. What are they doing with the people that have stuck with them? What are you doing with your tenured customers, with your tenured employees? Are we recognizing the people that keep things running, consistently? I think that's one of those pieces that, we sometimes overlook. Yes, there's a very good balance between bringing in new and keeping, your existing. And there's a really fine line to walk that. You've got to find what works well in your business. And a lot of this, right, is going to be dependent on what your business is, what you're doing, what you're trying to bring in, what kind of business you're growing, and things like that. So the way that you come across on social media, if you're not calling out your employees when they're doing great things, if you're not connecting with customers and, promoting them with, you're not promoting them, on your social media platforms, I think that, that's a big miss across the board. And it can get a little hectic, and it can get a little rough because not everybody thinks about those things, right? So they don't always, unless you're really involved as a manager, they don't always come to you and say, oh, guess what I did over the weekend, and I won XYZ or whatever it was. You don't always get that information unless you're actively seeking it out, and having that time, is kind of tough to find unless you schedule it in, block it off and schedule it in, block it off and have that time, the one-on-one time with them. And it's going to give you twofold, right? Like, it gives you the information to share out so that you can build that, that word's not coming to me. That we're going to call it a relationship for right now, but, show that you're involved and that you see what your employees are doing, and you're making the calls on the things that they're doing within the community and the impact that they're making. And that shows not only for the employee that you're calling out, but your other ones as well, right? Because even if they're not following you on social media, they're following you and they're looking at it and they see when it gets put on there. And I used to kind of equate this back when I worked in the vet clinic, right? Like, if you see something, you have to say something. So if I'm at home, it's my day off, and my friend calls me and says, hey, I need to take my dog in. Here's what's going on. Are you working today? And you tell them no. What's your next reaction? Are you, hey, go in and ask for this person? Are you, well, let's just wait, I'll take him in tomorrow? Or are you confident in your team and your team around you that you can just say, you know what, go in, they'll take care of you? I know, in my gut that the rest of the team functions at a very high level, and I trust that that they're going to take care of you. And is that, so when you take time off, you're able to actually take time off, right? Like, you're not constantly thinking like, oh my God, what if it tries to, implode on itself. So all of these things, we all have, wherever you're at in the company, right? We all have a stake in, we all have a piece of. That's all the brand. That's all, that's your company's legacy. And it's something that, we don't always think about on a daily basis, but we can impact it. You can impact it with your, with just the people you work with. You can impact it with your manager. You can impact it with your direct reports, and you impact it with the customer every day. You guys have heard me talk about internal customers, and that being our employees and the people that work for us. Those internal customers, keeping happy is such a fleeting thing. They don't have to be happy, but they do have to feel like they are successful and valued, and that they make a difference to keep them. And so retaining them is huge. So when you're thinking about, what's going on in your business, make sure that you take the time and think about the retention piece, right? Like, I don't know, other than maybe my daughter who's 7, I don't know many people that get really excited about a pizza party. That was always it. Like, you weren't going to bribe me to do a good job with a pizza party. Like, let's just get real, right? Like, that just was not going to be the thing that that made me want to really, just knock the week out of the park. You kind of have to, that's getting to know your people, that's getting to know your teams, getting to understand like what drives them and what's their purpose, and then bonding them to your brand, to your mission, to your values. I mean, ensuring that you guys that you're living those daily. And kind of like here at Opus, we really want to be able to bring these enterprise technology solutions to the smaller businesses. I mean, essentially, we are, in all essence, we're a small business, and we've been able to leverage some of these things that big businesses use, and whether that's the HR system or ticketing system. There's being able to utilize some of the benefits that the bigger businesses use, and find a way that's cost efficient for a small business. Is something we've been able to find our niche in this, and be able to help others as well, because we all want to have the perks. Maybe we just don't want the size. We don't want to be 500 employees. That are run by a board of directors, or are publicly traded and have to answer to those things, because that's not for everybody, right? Like, that kind of company is not for everybody. It wasn't for me, and did it for years, and it just didn't work out for me. And so, even though there were some perks on that side, there was not a retention piece for me, because the way that the brand functioned, it didn't align with what I needed personally, and it didn't align with my values and why I was in the job role that I was in. So it's something to think about as you move forward. I mean, I think that it gets missed quite a bit, right? It gets missed across the board. There's not necessarily like a retention program for a lot of places, but think about it like the punch cards you get at businesses. If you come in regularly, like, there's a great little local sandwich shop. Now, mind you, the town I live in has 3 Subways, and I don't know, 1 or 2 other sandwich shops, but then there's a local guy that owns this awesome little sandwich shop right around the corner, and he did start a punch card, and I mean, that's fine, I'm gonna go to him over the other ones anyway, but he, that punch card is kind of that retention piece for coming, right? You get through 10, you get a free one. We've got to be careful in our role as managers when you start talking to employees around like an annual increase. I know that one was a big one for me, and that was kind of off-putting when I would start to think about it and start to do the math, and you would realize that, okay, once you hit a certain level, you kind of maxed out. Well, so what you're telling me is that I'm only good for 10 years, and then I'm going to reach this top level in my role and not be able to get another increase. And why do I have a cap? It was always a really hard pill for me to swallow, because there were things in place, right? Like, if I couldn't move, if my manager didn't leave, I couldn't get promoted into the next role. So I would have to make that decision. Do I uproot my entire life and move to get that? Do I change locations, maybe drive further? Or do I just settle and just think, oh, okay, well, I've hit my max point in the amount of money that I can make, and I'm never going to make any more. So do I just settle in and want to be stagnant? And most people don't want to be stagnant. I'll tell you, I didn't. And that's where I left my first real career job. Was I realized that where I was at, the growth track, there wasn't a ladder for me, and I wasn't content to just stay in the role that I had and then be told, oh, here's a stretch assignment. We're not going to pay you anymore, but we're going to have you cover, and do this other job over here. So you're essentially doing 2 jobs for us for the price of one. And that didn't feel very good when you had to do that for a while. And so that piece, it put a really bad taste in my mouth, and it really told me that the company that I was working for was really just interested in the money that we brought to the table, right? Like, it didn't matter that I had been there for 12 years. It didn't matter that I had done everything and checked every box and there wasn't anywhere for me to go. Like, they were just like, well, you're just kind of SOL. And you're there. And they wanted more every time, and they wanted you to bring in more customers, and they wanted you to retain the old customers, and they wanted you to juggle all of these hours, and they wanted it to only be in 40 hours. You could only work 40 hours, but you had to run, 2 different spots. You had to be in 5 different places at once, and you had to have a good team and no turnover and keep everything happy and stay on top of everything. But you were constricted, and they used the work-life balance. You had to have work-life balance. You could only work 40 hours in a week. Wish I could work 40 weeks. But there wasn't a good plan. They had all these expectations, but there was no plan, because the people that were putting these expectations into place didn't have realistic ideas of what was going on. And so that made it really hard. And the brand itself didn't call out, the people on the front line, and it didn't make your employees feel engaged. So when your company gets hit from the inside like that, and your employees, your internal customers, aren't happy, it does tarnish your brand on the external side too, right? Like, everybody's a person, and they all have people that they talk to, and they're going to recommend either their company, or they're going to be like, man, don't go to where I work. Like, you don't want to go there. And so we need to be cognizant of that and feel like that. And so asking for that honest feedback from your employees, and asking for feedback from their customers, and asking for feedback from your peers is really something that can help you get a pulse on what that brand image is and what it looks like to others, and also how you perceive it. Like, what are you doing to create that perception? Like, when you come home, are the first words out of your family's mouth, oh, was it another bad day? Like, do they just think that you have a bad day every day? Because none of us want that. But just some things to think about, just some thoughts as you guys move forward. Again, my name is Kayla. I'm the client account consultant here at Opus Management. And we would love to have a chance to chat with you, help you figure out some of your pain points, and how we can help with those, and take your business to the next level. If you check us out on our website at opusmanagement.us, you can find links there to get some time for a discovery meeting where we can talk through that. That is absolutely at no charge. We just talk through, what's going on, what are the things that you feel like you need to move to the next level, and how can we help you? Whether that's in HR or branding, social media, if that's on policies and procedures, if it's on, just simple things like Microsoft Office. How can we help? We also do sales training and several other things, along with ERPs and CRMs. So along with your customer service issues and accounting softwares, we can help you guys out there also. So I look forward to talking to you guys next week. We'll be back at noon next Wednesday. And if you have any questions or any burning things that you would love to talk about here, leave it on any of our social medias. Pardon me. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we look forward to talking with you guys next week. Have a good